leadership, independent, sacrifice, determination, patience, struggle, focus, keeping it real with Mike Scrill. Thank you for joining us again, world. And I really appreciate how y'all been supporting Keeping It Real with Mike Scrill. And the guests I've been having is just getting greater and greater. And today I'm so honored to have who I have today with me. And if you're not from 414, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, if y'all don't know, Mr. Andre Ellis. Thank you for joining us, Andre.
All right, man. Glad to be here.
Mr. Andre Ellis, you're so inspiring to so many people, but what's the special thing is that I know that you're from Milwaukee, so people on the outside looking in, we would like to know your roots.
I'm a native of Milwaukee. I was born in Lapham Projects, which is now known as the New Carver Townhomes, located right there on 6th and Brown Street, just adjacent to where they're building that $500 million complex, the New Bucks Arena. But that's where I was raised, in the projects, and that's where I first learned what unity was. 1967, 68, I remember in Lapham Projects, which was right up the street from 3rd Street, and 3rd Street was the downtown for black people at that time. We didn't necessarily go down on Wisconsin Avenue because you just may run into the Ku Klux Klan or anything like that while you're down there shopping and walking around. It was very racist. But 3rd Street, they had Three Sisters, they had Stone Jewelers, they had National Food Store, they had, what was it, Robert Halls, I think it was, for the men, for the boys, and they had Gimbels and Schusters that was there, for families that was there. Lena's was there on North Avenue, the original Lena's. I mean, it was just incredible, and I'll never forget the day when the riots came through and the National Guardsmen were on the street and we had to be in the house by 6 p.m. for the curfew. Otherwise, I don't know what would happen, but it was very scary to look out the window and see the National Guard on the roof, and I remember they burnt up the stores and we looted and stole things, and when it was all over, we didn't have our downtown anymore. It was over. And it became a sad state in our city, and we haven't been the same since.
Mr. Andre Lee Ellis, for me being a native here in Milwaukee, what you just hit me with was, so it's crazy because it's like, I'm sitting here and I heard what you said about how it used to be, but then you watch this city transition. So then it's like, when I was born into something that I wasn't aware of happened before me, so now I'm seeing like the results. So it's amazing to be sitting next to you when you've seen the transition happen. And now I can see why you encourage to make it better, because you know that it's possible. You know that we can help each other.
The 60s, the 70s, and even the early 80s, black folk owned their neighborhoods. Yeah. We owned the corner stores, we owned the gas stations, we were the ones that made sure that we were all right. The corner stores was where your family could have, your mom could have credit. If they didn't have enough money for groceries that week, Mr. Coleman at Coleman's grocery store might give you $25 credit. Now you couldn't get nothing else, so you pay that $25 off. But it was like that. Somehow others came into our community and began to purchase up the land, you know, gentrification and that whole movement, the expressway coming through and just, you know, filibustering through everything and just busting it all open. Because I've seen it, I know it can be done. Even if we could get it back to where it was, it gave us something to be proud of. So we got to get back to, I believe, we got to get back to putting the neighbor back in the hood. Neighborhoods. Hood is good, and I like it. You know, I'm hood for real to the bone. If you feel me, put your hands up. But I'm hood. I think that we need to go back to a point where we own things, where we own the land. We've got a lot of boarded up houses and empty lot and properties in our communities that we're squatting in and doing negative activity, and whereas we should be purchasing them and we should be making the housing affordable for our people to live in, these single mothers that have these kids. We got to do a lot of more male restoration in our community, where the black man get back into the household and get back into the life of his children or the life 5 of them. If you've never been into it, we got to get involved. And on April 21st, this neighborhood cleanup, the Bader Foundation and some other groups, let's make it a big citywide. The hood is big, and there's a lot of the north, south, east, and west asking you to join us. And on the block where you live, we're asking you to just come out on that day at 8 a.m. and clean up. There's an organization called Help Keep Greater Milwaukee Beautiful. We'll have opportunities where you can get supplies, garbage bags and rakes and things like that, and shovels to assist you with your cleanup. Give a call down there. They sometimes even have bottled water. Check with a corner grocery store like Gouts or Pick and Save, where you spend your money all the time, and see if they'll give you a $25 gift card to just purchase a few cases of water so that you can have that and ice for your people that clean up, or any other supplies that it could help you with.
Mr. Andre, you do an amazing job on 9th and Ring with the garden. Can you share with us more about like what goes on and how it's impacting the youth down there on 9th and Ring?
Started working in the garden in November 2011 is when we moved on 9th and Ring, and the first week that we were there, went outside to the corner store across the street, which is still black owned, by the way, and when I came in from the store, gunshots rang out. They were so vivid, I thought someone was shooting at me or had shot me. My wife ran from the kitchen and she gasped. And watching that all unfold that day, there was an empty lot next to my house that had these 2 raised beds and this compost bin. I didn't know it was that at that time. But the neighbors told me that that was supposed to be a community garden. And so I said to the cameraman with Channel 4, who happened to be a good friend of mine, Andrew Triplett, at that time I said, you know what, maybe we need to take our hands off the trigger and put them back in the soil, because that's how grandmama and grandpa and them made it back in the day. We need to get back to what is natural. So the garden became a meeting place. It became a common denominator down there. Whenever there was a problem, we would call everybody to the garden. We began to tend to the different things. My mother was frantically having trouble with her 11-year-old son. They were going to arrest him for breaking in cars and doing mean things, and I thought, wow, another 11-year-old don't need a record. So I went and talked with the liaison officer at the 5th District and explained to them the program that we were doing, and I made it up at the time. I didn't even know. I didn't have a name for it or anything. And the name actually came because when the mother was knocking on the door out of frustration, I said to her, where is Jermaine's dad? And she said, I don't know. And I said, oh, we got this, we got it. We got this, here I come. And I came down. So when he asked me, the liaison officer asked me what was the name of the organization that was going to be doing the cleanup on Saturdays with the boys, out of nowhere I just said, we got this. And that little black boy came in that garden and worked harder and more diligently than anybody I ever seen working. And he said something to me I'll never forget. He turned and looked at me at one point of working and he said, Mr. Andre, I'm not as bad as they say I am. And I said, what do you mean, Jermaine? He said, everybody that tells me what not to do does worse than me. And I thought, wow. So later that day I saw Jermaine, or I saw a kid walking down the street, had on white jeans, white t-shirt. It was sparkling white. It was almost brand new. I pulled up on him and it was Jermaine, and he had a fresh haircut and he had some kind of grease or something on his face. So I knew he had washed it. And I was like, the boy had washed his face. I said, Jermaine, what's going on? He said, well, Mr. Andre, I finally made $20 to go skating. He said, I took 5 and I got a haircut. He said, the other 5 I'm going to use to get on the bus to get there and back. He said, it's going to cost me 5 to pay my way in and rent my skates. He said, with the other 5 I get a hot dog and a soda and some chips. He only wanted to go skating. Well, he showed up the next Saturday with 5 more boys talking about they wanted to make $20 so they could go skating, because Mr. Andre had paid black boys $20 for his program, and I didn't know what to do. So I said, here's what we'll do. We'll put our fist in the air and we'll take a picture and we'll put it on Facebook, and we'll ask black men to come by 12 o'clock and help pay little black boys who are eager to do something honest to make a living for themselves. Their first job, the first thing to ever go on their resume, the first something that made them feel of value. Now they have a tool that they can begin to negotiate their lives. The garden is located on 9th and Ring. All of the food that we grow is free. We're getting into the planting season. We're going to kick things off with April 21st with the big cleanup, where we're asking everybody to come out of their houses and clean up right on the block where you live from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's the big cleanup. Imagine if we could ride around in the hood and we saw no trash in the streets. Imagine if we could ride around in the hood and everybody said a good morning versus a hell no. Imagine if we could ride in the hood and we smell lavender versus loud. Imagine.
Mr. Andre, I attended the second annual 500 Black Tuxedo event, and then I attended the third one. So I really be trying to empower people to go attend that event, because nobody can tell you, and you had a feeling that you will feel once you in the presence. Because the last one I attended, I can't remember the young man's name, but I was able to relate to him. You give people a platform that a lot of people don't, especially in that spectrum. Like, it's all kind of people that be at that event. Rich people, the mayor, all kind of people give us a voice. And you allow, whether it's a few people from different areas, you allow them to get up and be a voice for the rest of the people that's sitting at the tables, because we have mentors, then we have the young youth. So I be trying to empower everybody to go there. But can you explain to the world, like, more specifically why they should be a part of that, how it impact? Because I'm sure more people than me come up to you and tell you how you effective to them. So I just want the world to know.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear you say that. Actually, for me, that came about because the guys saw me and my wife one time dressed up to go to dinner, and they wanted to know why they didn't get dressed up to go to dinner. That bothered me, and we were at Carson's, and so I went to the manager and said, hey, I'd like to do this event, and just that night it came to me. I'd like to bring, they said it would hold 100 people in that restaurant. I said I'd like to bring 50 little black boys between the ages of 12 and 16 with tuxedos rented by 50 men, and we take over the restaurant for a little while. And they looked at me with a surprise, but it happened.
Yeah.
And we did it, and it was very successful. It was 100 the first year, then it became 500 the second year, 500 the third year. We just completed the fourth year, 500, and now the fifth annual 500 Black Tuxedo is coming up. The men mentor the boys for the day. The boys are young men between the ages of 12 and 16. It doesn't have to just be black men, but black men pay $75 for the tuxedo rental of the boy. All tuxedo rentals are done through Torrance's House of Thread. Elliot Torrance and those guys have done a phenomenal job of working with us on this event, and each year they are the ones that we go through for the tuxedo rentals, and for $75 the young men get everything. But what's great about it is they go to their fitting at Torrance's, and while they're at the fitting, we engage them in conversation and just give them a chance to see what it's like to walk into an old haberdasher. You go in, you get that old special tailor-made treatment. You get your suit pinched in the back, and you get your pants cuffed just right. And man stuff, if the man owns his own tuxedo, he doesn't have to pay anything for his rental. But if he doesn't, it's $75 for him. So $150 he does that, and eat at a mighty fine place at the Hilton Hotel in the Crystal Ballroom. Our county supervisor, my good friend Mr. Chris Abley, was the sponsor for the hotel. He took care of the whole bill. He was our single most biggest contributor for the event for the last 2 years. So we thank him. The boys get with the men at Northcott Neighborhood House. We get all the tuxedos there. They get haircuts, different things like that. West Care, I want to thank Elizabeth Cox for partnering with us this year in West Care. When I tell you that staff did a breakfast layout this year that was just incredible. Thank you for that. And then all of the men from West Care changed clothes and put on tuxedos, and they walked with us in the event. So we have that gathering there. Then we get on buses and we go to a disclosed place where we take a photo. It was too cold to take it on the steps at the Northwestern Mutual building, but hopefully you'll see the picture where we took it at the entranceway of the Hilton Hotel, and you see all the men in this stairwell. Hopefully that picture is showing right now, and you can see that, and they're there, and what a joy. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that picture. Black men and boys in a way that they'll never know it before, but look at this. From now on, whenever that picture is shown to any of their children, friends, or family members, they can say, my father, my brother, my uncle, my friend, my teacher, my pastor, someone I know. is in that picture. And guess what? It's so good, even if they're not there, they can say they are, and they still look like they are, because you can't tell who's really in there, because it represents everybody. And that's what the Black Tuxedo event is all about, just to show little black boys that they can. I've never seen a little black boy put on a tuxedo, and I have to tell him to straighten up. I've never seen a little black boy put on a tuxedo, and I have to tell him watch your mouth. There's never a time that I've seen a little black boy put a tuxedo on and I have to say, hey son, put some speck on my name. Little black boys I respect for, and when put in the right environment with the right teachers that can meet their needs and reach them where they're capable of working at and make them like who they are and work on loving who they are, when you can do that, then you're going to get something exceptional out of little black boys.
For the world, one thing I want y'all to understand is that when Mr. Andre Ellis spoke of the price, I don't want y'all to get discouraged from that or anything, because when he went into the great details of how people being affected, I want y'all to know that I can vouch for that. People pay hundreds of dollars for Michael Jordan shoes, and they don't even make you dunk. They don't make you do anything, but everything that he explained to y'all in detail, I can vouch for it. That's what my $75, my $150, and even when I shared it with my other friends, my peers, it empowered them. I sat back in the car once I got them there, and after I think we left Northcott and we went to take the picture of the next part of the event, and I sat there and I asked, I wanted to see how effective was it with no money, and I asked my guys, and they genuinely said, and I was walking through the mirror and everything, they was affected by it. They was like, man, it's wonderful. They wanted to bring somebody the next year. So I just want the world to know that do not let the money distract y'all from this day, because it's equivalent, it's past equivalent than a pair of Jordans that cost $200. You're paying $75 for yourself and $75 for a young man. And even if you're not a mentor, that day you're gonna know that you're a mentor because they look up to you.
Right.
So I was there looking up to y'all, and then I got these little guys looking up to me. So like you said, you never had to tell a young man to get his act together or nothing like that. So when I was in the suit, I'm seeing these kids look at me, instantly I gotta get my act together. And then it carries on and carries on. So I just want the world to know that, like, do not let the price discourage y'all from experiencing that moment.
And I think the price too, man, I'm glad you brought that up too, Mike, because I think the price never really discourage people necessarily, because we make it a way that even people that don't have the money still can come. There's a lot of good brothers that want to attend, so they may not have the $75, even the rent for the young brother. So hats off to all of those people that donate to us by going to our website at www.wegotthis.mke.com, and you can always make a donation there if you want to help us in any kind of way.
Mr. Andre Ellis, Mr. Andre Lee Ellis, with the utmost respect, I want to share that I didn't have a father in my life. My father wasn't in prison, any of that such. He was out here. So that took me to, I guess God blessed me with a brain and conscience to know what to look for, but being human, I follow bad leads, bad examples or whatever. But I admire you because you make being a man look cool. And our people tend to follow what looks cool. And nowadays what look cool is like self-destructive things. But even when it comes to marriage, you make it look cool. You for one, you found a wife for you, and then you're the husband for her. Y'all, it's like even being a black man from the hood, we still can avoid all the confusion that's going on and still get what we want out of life. We can find happiness out of life and still be cool, still be hood and all that. And so I admire you because you don't just reach people like me, you reach all ages. And as being a man, and like going back to making it being cool, but I want the world to know, like, we see from the outside, but is it really cool to be a man? Is it really cool to be Andre Lee Ellis? The things that we see and that we look up to, do you feel that?
Man, I am a big admirer of one of America's poet laureates, Langston Hughes. And Langston Hughes wrote a really, really short poem that I use as a personal motto for myself. He said, I play it cool and I dig all jive. That's the reason I stay alive. My motto as I live and learn is to dig and be dug in return. And that's really how I live. I do want to be cool, and I came into my cool later because I wasn't a sports athlete person or nothing like that. I was in the theater and all of that, so they always where are you coming from? But I always wanted to be married. I wanted to have a wife, but I saw a lot of broken relationships, and so I didn't want to deal with that. My marriage is cool because I am. My marriage is cool because she is. My marriage is cool because we are. And no jokes aside, I am happily married, and I'm married to someone that I like. My wife is just a cool person. She has no girlfriends that I gotta compete with. I don't come home to a house where a woman is gone all the time, or I can't tell where she's spending her money. We communicate things like that. It ain't perfect, and I wish I could tell you that we never have a disagreement, but there's no name calling. She's honey, sweetie, baby, whether I'm angry or happy with her, whatever it is. Her name is Angela, and that's what I call her. And I try to make sure that the young men that I work with, especially that see that example. They call her moms just like they call me pops, and that's mainly because of the way that I treat her and the way that she carries herself. I make sure that if they don't have it at home, they see it in a home. They know that it can happen in their home, that it is possible. They can say, I may not have had it at home, but there was an example on the block where I live. On the block where I live, I am the change that needs to be. On the block where I live, I'm helping to make the changes that the people need to see. On the block where I live, it is so important that we get healthy marriage back into the household. That's why the garden, if people are going and eating good healthy food, they're thinking differently. The illnesses that we deal with, diabetes and heart disease and things like that, would be less and less, and people could manage them a little better. Even if we couldn't totally cure it, we could have more manageability. Eating raw food, eating good organic food, eating natural food, eating food that you grow yourself, unprocessed food that you know what goes into it, that way you know what's coming out of your body. So the garden is important, and it helps our relationship. As long as my wife knows I'm in that garden, tending to that work, she knows that that's an honest place to be. And when she comes out there and she helps and we work together, we get to have good, healthy conversation. We share a carrot fresh out of the ground.
I'd like to thank y'all for joining us once again on Keeping It Real with Mike Scrill, and I hope that y'all learned something and learned a whole lot about being a man and doing better in our community. Make sure y'all join us. Is it April 21st?
Yeah.
April 21st, the big cleanup. Make sure y'all stay tuned to the 500 Black Tuxedo, and make sure y'all go down on 9th and Ring and holler at Mr. Andre Lee Ellis and see what's going on. Check out our youth down there in the garden. And just stay tuned with him, man, because he an empowering person, man. If y'all love me, you gotta love Andre Lee Ellis, because this, man, I get a lot of it from him just by watching.
Everything he just said, ditto. Hey, Milwaukee, we got this.
We got this, man. I love you. Yeah.